Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to my channel for another third-party unlicensed 1/6 scale figure unboxing and review video. Now today we are taking a look at the SooSoo Toys Mr. Butcher, aka Carl Urban as Billy the Butcher from the Amazon Prime TV series The Boys. I personally have been super excited to get this guy in, and fingers crossed their Homelander isn't far behind. I picked up mine from toyswonderland.com. I have included the link in the description below for your reference purposes only because, don't forget, this is not a promotional video, this is a review on a product that I picked up for my own personal collection, and it is unlicensed. What we are going to do now though is get the box laying flat in the light box and do the unboxing. Here of course we have the box art for Billy himself, and as you can see we do have this rather soft oil painting aesthetic image on the front of the box. SooSoo Toys do an amazing job with their box artwork, and even though I'm not a huge fan of it for the endgame figures, for this guy I think it does work. We have Mr. Butcher along the front with this blood splatter effect, same thing on the side, and once again on the back with a bunch of legal information. But on the inside of the box, this, I reckon, is the artwork they should have gone for the front cover, because this looks totally awesome. I love the sepia effect, and I can very clearly tell exactly who that's supposed to be. Now, right off the top, we are greeted with this little instructional sheet, just letting you know the batteries do in fact go inside Laser Baby's noggin, so we will have to install them a little bit later in the video. At the very least, he does actually come with those batteries. Now let's get Butcher out here. First thing that I've noticed just picking him up out of the box is the heft. This guy is using a completely new body for SooSoo Toys, and you can tell he feels very hefty and very sturdy. But yeah, so far I am very impressed. We do have one tray up on top and another down below. So what we are going to do now is get all of his accessories laid out in the light box and take a closer look at everything he comes with. And here we have all the accessories that come with Billy the Butcher. And as you can see, he comes with a ton of stuff. Let's start off though by talking about the display base first. It's the usual SooSoo Toys metal grate style display base, except this time we have a The Boys logo with a blood splattered effect over the top. This looks fantastic, and it's right in line with the rest of their display base styles, so if you wanted to, you could display all of your SooSoo Toys figures together. Now I'm pretty sure you'll want to see what both head sculpts look like. I personally do prefer the one on the right, just the regular neutral expression. I love the sculpt, I love the skin texture, the paint applications, it looks fantastic. And a lot like Carl Urban. The hair is also really nicely sculpted and textured, but we also have this, the grinning, smirking expression. I can definitely see the likeness at some angles, specifically from above and from the 3/4 turn, but from below I start to lose it. Do let me know though what you think of it down in the comments below, and definitely which one you prefer. From some angles, as I said, the likeness is very strong, but I definitely will be going with the neutral expression. He also comes with a ton of weaponry. Let's start off with the more close combat weapons first. This one being a mallet. I really like how this looks. It's got a very simple paint application to the top and a wood grain effect to the sculpt down on the handle. The cool thing about some of these accessories, such as this crowbar and this cattle prod, is you can use them with other figures. I'm envisioning giving these to my Sideshow Collectibles Joker. Giving him a cattle prod? Yeah, that would be a pretty darn badass way to display your Joker. He also comes with this big honkin' drill. This thing is sculpted and painted very nicely, with a convincingly metal-looking drill bit up the top that isn't actually metal, it's just painted with a very shiny chrome paint. Don't worry, you will see him interacting with some of these weapons later on in the video. You also get this M4 style rifle. You have an opening door on the side. You can remove and move this piece up and down, and the same thing with the sight. You also have a little logo on the side, plus the stock can be extended. This is a really impressive piece. You can also remove the silencer if you don't want him using it, so I do like the modularity of this rifle. You can basically make it look however you like. You also get 2 swap-out magazines. You don't get extra magazines often enough, if you ask me, from official companies. But I'm glad SooSoo Toys are stepping up and giving them to us. We also have some gold painted bullet detail up on top there. You also get this massive 50 caliber sniper rifle with a spring-loaded bolt on the side and a removable magazine with some massive bullets sculpted and painted up on top. And yes, you guessed it, 2 spare magazines for it as well. So yeah, Butcher comes jam-packed with a bunch of awesome weapons. You do also get the Laser Baby. He comes with 2 different head sculpts. This one with the rather ominous looking black eyes is the light up head sculpt. But let's talk about the sculpt of him first. You can see the outfit has a ton of wrinkles sculpted in. He also has a very convincing flesh tone. In fact, he does look kinda creepy. When you touch the top of his beanie, as you saw just there, the light does turn on. Now, to enable it to be as sensitive as it is, you saw it struggle to turn on there, it's because it's just a very sensitive function. It does work most of the time, but you do have to give it a relatively firm tap. Now, you can take that head sculpt off and replace it with the regular, fully painted version of Laser Baby. I'm not really sure if I'm going to display my Butcher with this guy. I guess it's nice to have, but for me it's just a little bit creepy. He also comes with 3 vials of Compound V with a little blue section on the inside meant to replicate the liquid itself. Now, as for the hands, usually we don't really touch on the hands as much, but third-party companies have been getting a little bit lazy. Not SooSoo Toys though, these are all individually painted rather than being that cheap waxy plastic look, and you can see there is skin texture there and there is shading. They look fantastic, as simple as hands can be. What we are going to do now though is get Butcher himself out here and take a closer look. Here we have him standing straight up and down in the light box, no crazy poses or accessories or anything like that, and they nailed it. I know it's still very early on in the review, but I have no problem saying that whatsoever. They have made some very good choices here. Number 1, the sculpt. I'm talking, of course, about the neutral expression. It's Carl Urban. There's no two ways about it. I don't think that if an official company was going to make their own version of Butcher, which I'm pretty sure they are, I don't reckon they'd come anywhere near close to this. The only ones that could possibly dethrone SooSoo Toys as the best boys figures maker would be Hot Toys, and I don't see them stepping in the ring anytime soon. So that leaves us with this guy. The body proportions are fantastic as well. He is rather buff. This is the first time SooSoo Toys have used this particular style of body. More on that in just a second, but it's not too slim, it's not too big, it's just right for Butcher. Plus, the outfit is tailored very, very well. It hugs the body and it shows off how muscular he really is. As I said, SooSoo Toys have done a magnificent job here. I don't really have any complaints so far. Whether I discover a few throughout the course of the video, well, that remains to be seen. What we are going to do now, though, is take him off the rotating turntable, punch in, and take a closer look at the details. And here we have him up close and personal. Now, because you can remove the coat on this guy and his arms are fully detailed, you can technically create a second look. So don't worry, we will be doing that in just a second. Now I know we've taken a much closer zoomed in look at the head sculpts, but it's worth talking about what they look like on the body. They look proportionate, they don't look too big, and even though the skin tone is ever so slightly lighter on the neck than the head itself, trust me, in person it is absolutely a non-issue. It's literally just the camera that's exacerbating it. When you get this guy and pose him up, you won't even notice it. Now let's talk about the coat. It's a very nice, soft and supple material. It fits the body and hugs it very, very tightly, and there is a wire around the base. I wouldn't have minded having a wire along the front, but I have tried to manipulate it and it doesn't feel like there is one. At the very least, you do have one down below, so you can kind of get it billowing off to the side there. As for the shirt underneath, this is the shirt from Season 1. If you go and look at the images of him holding the drill, he is wearing this exact shirt. The print is very, very accurate, and I really like the way it looks. It's nice and form-fitting, just like the jacket, and the material is soft and supple, so it does move out of the way when you get to posing. Speaking of something that doesn't really move out of the way when you come to posing, it's these 1/6 scale jeans. They've always been a little bit tough to nail in 1/6 scale because they do hinder your articulation, but these are made ever so slightly baggier. So as you can see, when you push them up, you can get the legs going up a little bit higher, and they do have a little bit of a stretch to them, so these are actually pretty impressive, as simple as they look. They are literally just black acid-washed jeans. You can see a little bit of the white denim texture poking through. Lastly, coming down to the boots, they are very simple boots. They're sort of unlaced on the top, which does allow you a little bit more range of motion because they do flare out, and they are slightly rubbery. Plus, you do have some weathering and a really nice level of leather texture on the side, plus some dirt and grime on the sole of the shoe. Now, I'm pretty sure you'll want to see him wearing the alternate head sculpt and without the jacket. And there you have it. I have to say, I'm still not the biggest fan of this head sculpt. I can see the likeness there, but it just doesn't work for me. What does work for me, though, are the exposed arms. They have gone with a single bend just to preserve the overall look of them, and the biceps are huge. Plus, they are fully painted and textured all the way down to the hand. Obviously, for the wrist peg, they couldn't really do much about it, but overall, I really like the way they look. As I said though, they did have to go with a single bend. Whether or not that ruins the figure for you is going to have to be up to you, but for me, the single bend is a non-issue. I will be going with the jacket on and the first head sculpt for my display, but still, this is a really cool second display option. Now for a quick side-by-side comparison, here we have the Hot Toys Superman alongside Butcher. I really did struggle deciding who to compare this guy to, but I ended up with Soups because of course Homelander is kind of like an evil version of him. Obviously, when that Homelander figure eventually comes out, we will revisit this comparison with Butcher. But for now, as you can see, he is shorter than Superman. That's not actually accurate. Henry Cavill and Karl Urban are supposed to be the same height, so if you wanted to make him a little bit taller, you could use some ankle extenders, but for me, this height works perfectly fine. If anything, I think it's the Hot Toys Superman that's slightly oversized here, but either way, I cannot wait to compare this Butcher to their Homelander. Just going over articulation on Billy the Butcher. Now bear in mind, this is my personal copy of the figure, so I'm going to be a little bit more careful. I'm sure when you get yours in hand, you can push the joints slightly further than I'm willing to go. Now starting off with the head sculpt, it is on a fixed neck, but it is a rubbery one, so it does get a fairly decent range of motion in pretty much all directions. The arms themselves go up to about there, they will go forward the full way, and because he is wearing a short sleeve shirt, you can kind of move it out of the way. You do have a butterfly joint at the shoulder, a single bend at the elbow with a swivel, and of course a regular 1/6 scale joint for the wrist. As for the torso, a swivel, crunch forward and back, and pivot side to side. The legs will go forward to about there, they'll go out to about there, swivel at the thigh, a double bend at the knee, and of course a ball joint for the ankle. Just wrapping up on the SooSoo Toys The Boys Billy the Butcher figure. Now going into this, I was already very excited. Y'all know SooSoo Toys is my favorite third-party company, and this guy only strengthens that position because this might just be their best figure to date. I mean, let's talk about the figure first. The sculpts are fantastic, the neutral one a little bit more so. I can still see the likeness in the more zany, comical, smiling expression, but I think the neutral one is just the safest bet. It looks the best. They are still both painted very nicely, but this one just looks a little bit more like him to me personally. If you like the other one, then totally all the power to you, but this one is my preferred option. Then we get to the outfit. It's simple, but there is a wire at the base of the coat and it is accurate to the show, plus it fits this custom body perfectly. And then we get to that custom body. The first time SooSoo Toys have ever used this particular body. It's beefy, but not overly so. Yes, he does have single jointed elbows, and I think that might be the one single complaint for a lot of collectors because he does come with some weapons that would lend to having double jointed elbows, but to me personally, it doesn't ruin the figure. I'm still more than happy to add this guy to my collection. And then we get to the accessories. He comes with a metric ton of them, and they aren't off the shelf either. They're all custom made specifically for Billy the Butcher here, and the detail is fantastic with a ton of moving parts and pieces. So yeah, if you couldn't tell already, I'm blown away. This is my favorite SooSoo Toys release to date, and I cannot wait to get all of the rest of the figures they have coming up for the rest of the year. Now, don't forget, this is unlicensed. That means it's done in an unofficial capacity. Keep that in the back of your mind when you are making your purchasing decisions. If you are heading down to the description, you will find the link to the website where I purchased mine. Also, check out the link to 6 Scale Network, the awesome Facebook group. Come along, chat figures, share photos of your collection, and of course, see what's coming up next on the channel. Like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll catch you in the next video.